What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be building MOC in 10 hours. Let's get started. Starting out this challenge in hour 1, the very first thing that I'm going to do is start building some concept art. Something super small that I can just base my MOC off of and take pieces eventually when I need it. As you can see in the little concept art MOC that I made, I'm going to be building a giant base. In the front, it's going to slope up. There's going to be a little opening in the bottom where I'm going to have troops of either clones or droids exiting the base into the battlefield. And the terrain on the outside is going to be snow with a little divot in the middle with some dark tan pieces. In the color dark tan, I have quite a lot of different wedge plates, which I'm going to be using in the trenched out middle part of the MOC. I'm not too sure how big I want to make the MOC, but I can't overestimate since I only have 10 hours to make it. But let's begin building in hour 1. So I'm going to be starting in different sections. The first one for the first couple hours is going to be the base. What I have to do right now is add down a whole bunch of filler brick and add a whole bunch of 16 by 16 great base plates on top. Now that I'm done with the first half, all I have to do is duplicate that one more time to make the base a lot bigger. Now that I have that, I'm going to be starting to work on the walls in the next part. For hour 2, what I'm going to be building is going to be the walls to the base. I'm going to be building 2 different sections for this because in the middle way, I'm going to have a large door that's going to be open and many different transports and tanks are going to be flowing out into the battlefield. So it's going to have to be a tall wall. Also, I don't want it to just be super flat, so I'm adding in some design into it. So the 2 outer parts are just a straight ramp, but the middle part kind of sways, goes up straight, and then continues on the pattern. So now basically all I have to do is rebuild that on the other side, but leaving a gap in the middle for a large door. But since you guys already saw that, I'm just going to cut right to when the other side of the wall is completely built, which is right now. And these 2 walls basically took up the entire second hour, so we got to get a move on. On to hour 3. Into hour 3, and I'm going to be starting off this hour by building another layer for the base. Now, I don't have enough base plates to cover the entire roof of the MOC, so instead I'm just going to be making a second story with a command station centered roughly around the middle area of the base, and then using the remainder of my pieces just have the wall continue going up. I'm also going to be making a giant blast door in the front of the building. Building this door was such a pain because it kept falling down, but in the end it looks super good, and I'm super happy that I included it. Now we are going to be building the back side of the wall. We need 2 ends to hold up the entire second floor. Since it's going to be lightweight, I don't really need any more support for the building. And I've also decided for the main area to just house tanks and stuff and then have droids in the middle coming out to meet the clones. Or maybe vice versa, depending on what I want to do. So now it's just basically a repeat and I'm going to just build up the rest of the wall. So this is just about everything that I could accomplish in 1 hour. As you can see, I added the second floor to the top of the 2 walls. And if you come to the back, I added some lights into the wall, so if we press those on, it adds a red light. Now let's move on to hour 4. Starting building in hour 4, I'm going to be working on the second layer of the base. This is where the command post is going to be. So in Star Wars fashion, I'm going to be lining a whole bunch of computers underneath a window that is looking outside on the battlefield. What I didn't show before I started filming is I quick tiled off the back of the wall, so that's already done. But now what I'm going to be doing is just building up the wall an extra couple bricks to give it some more height. I'm also not going to be adding a roof on top of the base because I do not have the pieces for that. Now heading back down on the command station, I'm going to be adding railings. And if you've been a subscriber since the beginning of summer of this year, you might have seen this tactic that I've used before in an Imperial outpost, link in the top right corner. And now to finish out the entire base, all I have to do is add some miscellaneous bins and pipes, which will be laid down in and outside of the base. And in hour 4, that concludes the base. I naturally took a break in between hour 4 and 5, so when I came back and was planning on doing the terrain, I kind of realized that I had a whole 5 hours left to fill 4 large gray base plates with terrain. And honestly, with the details and pieces that I can use, that's going to be way too much time. So I moved from placing down snow on another add-on of a base plate and go to my own stationary base plate. And yep, we're doing some more rock work, just like in Caller, which if you haven't seen me build Caller in LEGO, you should go watch that. Just to add more to the MOC, I'm going to be cutting in halfway and kind of opening up into a cave. There, I'm going to be having a secondary battle along the battlefield just for extra detail into the MOC. But just to give you a little time frame for how long Caller took, All of this 1/3 of the rock work was in an entire hour, which I'm going to be continuing this process into the next hour. Coming into hour 6, I'm starting to stress out a little bit about how much time I'm going to have to do everything and finish the entire MOC. I really wanted to finish this entire mountain part of the MOC completely in this hour. I get super close but not really there. So what I'm going to be doing is building a little platform inside the MOC, kind of making a cave in the mountain to have a secondary battle. So I need to put down plate and tile there and then add in some extra rock work to add the rest of the mountain sloping up. I knew all these slopes would come in handy one day, and thank God for that. Especially since I didn't use so much inverted slopes, I had a whole lot of stuff left over extra from Caler, which are really coming in handy right now. Now after I finish that, I'm just going to continue up the mountain up top on these 2-second base plates. But since I'm running out of time, I'm going to add one last platform to the top of the mountain and then just slope up the rest from one base plate. I'm really hoping I can get this entire MOC done in a couple hours because we are really running short on time. In hour 7, basically what I had to do was finish up the entire mountain, which was super easy, although it did take a lot more time than I expected. But overall, I think it really turned out well. I mean, the peak of the mountain comes to a super fine point. On the bottom right side of the mountain, where it kind of cut off so I could add on a different base plate later, I added the rest of that mountain, added some rock work, and it looks pretty seamless. Overall, the mountain looks super great. But now we're moving on to the road in the middle of the MOC. I have to add a whole bunch of wedge plates to either side of the road to give it a more indent look. I didn't get too much done with it and don't really have a vision for it quite yet, but all I know is I have to hurry up this build because I only have like 2 hours left to build this MOC, which I need every single second of. So no more time wasting, let's get straight into the next hour. I got a whole lot accomplished in hour 8. I think motivation was the biggest key in this hour since I had a whole bunch of stuff to do and I wanted to devote mainly the last hour for any tiny little details I want to add, maybe explosions, and the final battle with adding clones and droids into the mix. So for hour 8, I completely had to finish covering the entire MOC, adding some details into the ground. So I finished up the main section of the road. It's kind of blank and not really detailed, but that's going to be covered with the main battle. Then I'm moving to the snow area of the MOC. I'm just covering the entire MOC in white 4x4s and then adding detail on top of that later, as well as just moving in some extra dark tan pieces and just plates to add more texture and details to not have it all in one spot. And for the last 10 minutes or so, I just added a couple spires and rocks into the mix, just to add some extra details and better look to the MOC. Now moving on to hour 9, I'm not really going to show you guys what I'm doing for this one, because this is where the battle really comes into play. So hard cut to when this is finished, go now. And with that, the video comes to an end. If you guys like this type of content, consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video.